The rematch of the Elder Statesmen took place in Pittsburgh last weekend on Sunday. I guess it was early afternoon. And it shook out a little bit differently than it did the first time. As far as offensively goes, the first half was kind of slow going. We got 10 points in the first half. Aaron had a touchdown pass, and then we obviously kicked a field goal. Aaron did leave after or before the half ended. Right before the half ended, he was leading a drive and got hit with, I think it was either late hit or unnecessary roughness, one of the two penalties, but whatever. Went down, grabbing his left wrist, stayed out there for one more play, and then went to the locker room and was never seen again. Reports are coming out that he wanted to come back out, but he's got a small fracture in his left wrist, and his status for next week is up in the air as of now. But he was 9 for 15, like I said, with a touchdown, 116, 106.5 QBR, so not bad. Pretty decent game, one sack, but obviously only played a half. A lot of his issues I'm starting to see reminds me a lot of Ben's late career, where they had an injury previously and they're afraid to get hit and get hurt again, and they're kind of escaping when they don't necessarily need to escape. Because when Mason came out in the second half, he looked a lot better, was staying in the pocket, and went 12 for 16, 127 and a touchdown, a little bit better QBR with 118.5. So, I mean, we've seen this song and dance with Mason before. He's a serviceable backup. He's probably one of the better backups in the league, and he'll be able to keep you afloat. But once the playoffs come, you don't know what you're going to get out of him. I know Aaron's pushing to play this week because it's the Bears, but I wish he would rest that. And because, we didn't bring him in, like I said, I've said it all year, we didn't bring him in for regular season wins, which, are necessary to get to the playoffs, but we brought him in for the playoffs. So we need him his healthiest coming into the playoffs. Another injury on the offense, Jalen Warren went down late in the second half with an ankle injury. I don't think he practiced yesterday, but he said he could have gone back in that game, and he just kept out cautionary. I think he got out there for one snap, but they kept him out of the game. But another great game for him, 10-62 with that 35-yard run that set up. I think it was the first touchdown that set up. Was pretty awesome. Kenneth Gainwell, not as good rushing, but great out of the backfield. He had 7 receptions for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. Carries, he had 9 for 24. Caleb Johnson is getting a decent run, 5 for 15. Other than that, Cam Hayward had a couple tush pushes, which is pretty neat. And as far as receiving goes, like I said, I already covered Gainwell with the big game with the 2 tutties. Darnell Washington is quietly becoming the tight end 1. I see a lot of reports out there that the Steelers might trade Freiermuth this offseason. I kind of hope they hold on to him and get rid of Jonnu. Pat has a ability to stretch the field more than Jonnu, at least that I've seen Jonnu do this year. And I think he's comfortable in Arthur's offense. 1 reception out of pretty much everybody else on the offense. Pat had 1. Roman Wilson had 1, a 17-yard run. And then Kelvin Austin had 1 for 5. You're quietly seeing Roman Wilson step into that number 2 spot, which is fine. Him and Austin are pretty much interchangeable to me. You have 2 guys that, are kind of smaller and quicker and can run across the field and things like that. So defensively, that back half of that secondary that they just put together 2 weeks ago of Duggar and Ramsey are looking pretty impressive. Obviously, Duggar had the pick 6, returned that for a touchdown. Ramsey got in a little bit of a scuffle there with Jamar Chase, but that's going to happen. Somebody spits on you, like he said, it's on. You're not, football be damned, job be damned, because that's just straight up disrespect for, I don't know what happened, maybe a few questionable hits. They weren't head-to-head. A lot of Bengals fans are being like, oh, that's worse than Perfect. No, it's not. Perfect was a head-to-head. The one hit that Ramsey had on Chase he hit him in the back, which, is questionable, but it was a clean hit in the back. So you had that big splash play, and then you had the fumble recovery by James Pierre, who Tomlin's talking about benching for Darius Slay. I don't like that. I mean, Darius Slay, I wouldn't say he's washed, but he hasn't been as effective as Pierre has been. I'd like to see him stay out there, but we'll see what happens. Slay gets burnt a couple times. Maybe we'll go back to Pierre. But we only had the 1 sack on the day. Nick Herbig stepping in for Alex Smith. I think they're going to have some issues coming up next year with who's going to be that other outside rusher with TJ, because Nick, it's hard to take him off the field the way he's been playing. This defense, once again, looked great. In a game that wasn't kicked off after 7 p.m. So I'm just going to keep saying it. As long as the game is kicked off before 6 p.m., I think this team's in a pretty good position to win games and continue this momentum, depending on who's playing. I mean, this Bears game is a noon kickoff, noon Central Time. Should be the Lord's time zone. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. We'll see who goes at quarterback for us, and then, we'll be down in Chicago. As far as special teams go, Keyshawn Williams left the game with a concussion, had 1 kick return for 20 yards. They had to put Austin back there for punts. He wasn't quite as impressive to me as Keyshawn Williams has been. But hopefully he can get back healthy. And then we brought in this Jamison guy. He just came off the practice squad. He had 1 for 20. Nothing impressive out of the return game. As far as kicks go, we had 4 PATs out of Chris Boswell, 4 touchdowns, 2 offensive, 2 defense. And then he had 2 field goals. Nothing spectacular. Longest one was 30 there. But Waitman had another phenomenal punting job. 3 punts, averaging 44.3, 2 of them inside the 20. You can't go wrong with punts inside the 20. But overall, another win, getting us back to 6-4. I mean, the Ravens are nipping at our heels, but they did not look good against the Browns. But that's another divisional game, so there's not much you can say about that. We got them coming up a couple games this year yet to go. And we'll see how those things turn out. I know the defenses generally handle Lamar Jackson, but ever since they added Derrick Henry to the mix there, it has gotten a little bit different, a little bit tougher sledding for us because we don't have a very good run defense. But like I said, that back half of that secondary that they just paired together with Duggar out of New England and then moving Ramsey, I think he's good to go next week. I haven't seen anything about him being suspended for the punch. I did see Chase got suspended for the spit. I highly doubt they're going to hand down any punishment today on Thursday for that. So we're getting a lot of guys back healthy. Cole Holcomb's supposed to be coming back. Guy's had a 3-week illness. I'm not sure what that is, but he's supposed to be coming back. Like I said, Darius Slay is supposed to be coming back. And then just the guys that were banged up last week. Aaron's going to be, I think he's going to give it a go today and see what he can do. Surgery is not required on the wrist, so it's just basically him being able to protect himself. Terry Bradshaw, back in the 70s, I think, played 3 months with a broken wrist with a giant cast on it. I highly doubt that he's going to have a giant cast on it. It's just going to be about him being able to brace himself, which is going to be rough the way he's been playing because he's been playing scared, especially the last 2 games against the Chargers and this game. Scared to get hit and happy feet back there in the pocket. So. But Soldier Field is his home away from home, regardless of where he's playing. He feels comfortable there, so maybe that will get him right. So we'll see. We got Chicago, and then we got a heavy back half of the schedule with the Ravens nipping at our heels.